What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, happy Saturday, everybody. We made it to Saturday. It's a glorious day. Slept in a little bit longer today because it's Saturday. It's Saturday. So hopefully y'all are having a great start to your morning. And welcome to Quita in the Mornings. My name is Quita. We are in the mornings and we're going to talk about some women's hoops. So I hope y'all are excited about it. Okay, so we have several things to talk about today. First up, we are going to talk about what happened last night. Because last night, you know, I was entertained, sure. But last night, those games were not as close as I expected. Not at all. Not at all. And I want to talk about it. All right. So I want to talk about those games that happened yesterday in the Final Four for the women's side. And next up, we're gonna talk about the headline story of today, which is the epic collapse of USC women's basketball. Because, wow. What one injury has transpired to, and I do kind of contribute how USC will be next year because of the unfortunate injury of Juju Watkins. And just the fact that things spiral. When things happen, players react, and it is what it is. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to also just have time for any other questions or thoughts that you all had that you all wanted to talk about. So lots of stuff to get to today. But before we begin, can you all please make sure to hit that like button as you all are hopping in. Make sure to hit that like button as y'all are joining in. Okay. Tiffany says close the portal already. It'll be closing in the next couple of weeks. It will be closing. But good morning, y'all. Good morning. Good morning, Sheila. Good morning, Smith. Good morning. All right. And we begin with what Rena's comment is. Rena says, so disappointed with UCLA and Texas, shaking my head. Terrible. Well, let's talk about it. So, yesterday, the stage was all set. It was all set for an epic battle. An epic battle between UConn and UCLA. Of course, the assumption that everybody had was that UConn was going to win, but that it was going to be a close game, an entertaining game. And then we had Texas versus South Carolina. Another game that, yes, South Carolina was expected to win that game, but there was a huge hope that this was going to be very, very, very competitive. But ultimately, guys, it wasn't. And the two best teams won. The two best coaches won. And it was very easy to tell early on what was going to happen. First up, let's start off with the last game of the night, which was UConn versus UCLA. Ultimately, UConn, in that first quarter, just laid out UCLA. The final score, 85 UConn, 51 UCLA. And yesterday was a record for the Final Four. This was the largest win margin ever in Final Four history. Largest win margin. That's embarrassing, guys. That is absolutely embarrassing. Yesterday, I put out a video talking about how embarrassing that ending to the South Carolina versus Texas game was, and this one was very embarrassing as well. But this game was embarrassing basically from the start. From the start, I was like, you know what? I am so happy I did not live stream this game. Because the whole time, I was thinking about live streaming for this game, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm gonna lay on my couch. I'm gonna watch the game. And as I was watching, I was just like, come on, make more of an effort. Like 34 points, guys. 34 points. That's not the better team winning. That is you not even trying. Yes, everybody expected for UConn to win. That's not the issue. What was what we were able to see clearly from the beginning of the game on was that there was a fire that UConn had and UCLA just didn't have it. They didn't want it. They didn't have that extra oomph that gets you the dub. And in the Final Four, you got to have it. You got to have it. You made it all the way there. And it makes you wonder, man, wouldn't it have been could it have been really nice to see another team in the Final Four other than UCLA? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, so let's get into the game. And guys, to me, it was over from the get-go. And there were two plays early on in this game, in the first quarter, where I felt like, oh, it's over. Now, if y'all didn't know, Janet Alfie, who is technically not a freshman, she was a redshirt freshman last year, actually playing this year as a freshman, 6'5", center from Egypt. Her parents were in the building yesterday, which I thought was pretty cool. But Janet Alfie, to me, set the tone early for this game and is a huge reason as to why UCLA looks so flustered so early. Now, Janet Alfie, she finishes the game with not super impressive stats, 6 points, 8 rebounds, two assists. Not that, maybe you may be like, oh, you know what, whatever, not very impressive. But the way that Janet Alfie was guarding Lauren Betts was huge in that first quarter. In that first quarter. It was to the point where she was playing some great denial basketball, got several steals, ultimately ended up with 4 steals in this game, where she was like, nah, you're not getting this ball. And the fact that UCLA still are not very good at post-entry passes. Still. Early on in this game, we saw several turnovers for UConn, right? In the first 20 seconds, AZ Fudd stood a basketball, make an easy layup. And then it was missed shots, turnovers, bad passes, and slowly but surely, I was like, this game is over. In the first quarter. In the first quarter, this game was over. Because yes, in my opinion, Jana and AZ in a lot of ways really, really started that defensive push for UConn. And UCLA kind of fell back and didn't really do much of anything. And then came the 3-point shots for UConn, and it was over from there. It was over. Let's talk about UConn a little bit more, and talk about the individual players, because to me, I thought this game was a fan-freaking-tastic game for AZ Fudd. AZ Fudd is one of those players that from half of the season on has played remarkable. She is someone who has the confidence that she can go out there and be dominant at any time she wants. And I thought she came into this game, turned the Jets on early, knocking down huge 3-point baskets, sitting down on defense, and ultimately easily leading her team to victory. Ultimately, we saw AZ Fudd with 19 points in this game. She was 3 of 5 from the 3. She was someone who was stealing that ball left and right. 3 steals for her. She was fan-freaking-tastic in this game, AZ Fudd. Fantastic. But it wasn't just AZ Fudd. It was, once again, the freshmen are showing up, because in that South Carolina win, we saw a lot of Joyce Edwards and how Joyce Edwards was doing her thing, absolutely doing her thing. And guys, in this game, Sarah freaking Strong, I was like, girl, you better live on that 3-point line. You better live on that 3-point line. She was knocking down 3 after three, after three, after three. She finished with 4 of 6 from the three. 22 points for her, 8 rebounds. She was just lights out for Sarah Strong. And there was absolutely nothing UCLA could do. Nothing they can do. Nothing. And it was just like, man, are you going to make some adjustments? No. No adjustments to be made. No adjustments to be made at all. And here's the deal, guys. This was a game that Paige Becker struggled to score. Paige struggled to score in this game. Now, defensively, Paige was on. Paige was on defensively. And that's never really an issue. She was on defensively, doing her thing. But offensively, she was missing a lot of shots. Paige Beckers was very, very inefficient, which is something you don't see very often. It is, in my opinion, pretty rare to see a very inefficient Paige Beckers. And to have this team win by 34 points. Have this team win by 34 points. When Paige Beckers goes 7 of 17. That's scary. That is scary. And to be honest with you, it makes me be like, you know what? This is another reason why it really felt like UCLA had no business being there. That's what it really felt like. Because the best player on UConn had a bad offensive night. Now, defensively, Paige, spot on. Spot on. Spot on for Paige. Defensively. Offensively, she struggled. You don't see Paige Beckers go 7 of 17 very often. You don't see that. It's rare. It is very, very rare. She's one of the most efficient players we have in the game. She's shooting around 53% in general. But yesterday she struggled. But it didn't matter. The reason why it didn't matter, because the rest of her team was so dominant. They were so dominant that it didn't matter. And I just, it just makes it more obvious that UCLA had never been in this situation. They'd never been here before. It was very clear from the get-go that Corey Close has never been here before as a head coach. The players haven't been here before. And they were out-hustled, outplayed, out-strategized, out-coached. It was sad what happened to UCLA. And here's the deal. I thought UConn was going to win. Their winning is not the problem. To me, I wanted to see a very, very competitive game of women's basketball. And instead, I saw what should have been slaughter ruled. That's what I saw. And that's not good for the Final Four. It's not. We have 2 games that were underwhelming in a lot of ways. Very, very underwhelming. You know? We had 2 games that were severely underwhelming. Now I'm going to go back to UCLA, but I want to make this point real quick. So here's the deal, guys. We saw 2 matchups yesterday for the Final Four, and Final Four games are supposed to be very down to the wire, last second, all that stuff. It's supposed to be a fire game. But we started off with South Carolina beating Texas, which we all expected. That's not a surprise. Not a surprise that South Carolina beat Texas at all. But what was a surprise was how seemingly Texas gave up at the end of the game. With how, about when it was about 5 minutes left to go, Texas was down, I believe, by 14 or 16 points, something like that. Yes, substantial, very substantial. Now, did anyone think that Texas was going to come back and get the dub? No. But you still had a chance. Vic Schaefer ends up putting Madison Booker on the bench. He ends up putting her on the bench, and that's where she stays for the rest of the game. Rory Harmon eventually joins her, and they look on as they watch their team get dominated. Now, again, was anybody expecting Texas to win? Maybe a couple people. Texas faithful, right? Some people who were just interested to see somebody else make the championship game. Yeah, sure. There's a lot of people that was trying to rock out for Texas. But Texas, with a lot of adversity, I agree. Playing against a way better team, I agree. They gave up still. They gave up towards the end, and what could have been a exciting ending to this game ultimately was a type of deal. Yes, South Carolina have made it to their third out of 4 national championship games. Out of the 4 years, their third one in the last 4 years. That's great. That's fantastic. Shout out to South Carolina. What a fantastic run for this team. And still, the ending felt underwhelming because it felt like, Anthony, you're right. It felt like once Madison Booker got that third foul in the second quarter, they were just waiting for the inevitable to happen. And it felt like in that fourth quarter, they just threw up their hands, they waved the white flag, and they said, okay, South Carolina, it's over. You all won. You all were the better team. You all won. And that wasn't fun as a fan of women's basketball who just wants to see some epic games. That wasn't fun. All right? That was not fun at all. Roderick says there is still no parity in women's college basketball. There was in the regular season, but yeah, not as much. Not as much. Now, that's for sure. That is for sure. Faye says Texas definitely did give up. I said it when I saw it. Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Okay, so we go from that game, which was had a very underwhelming ending, and we go into the largest win margin in Final Four history as the next game, where UConn absolutely, piece by piece, dismantled UCLA. 85-51. That it was 34 points. Come on now, really? 34 points? That's a lot. That is a whole lot. And unfortunately, in the UConn UCLA game, it felt like it was over in that first quarter. To be honest with you guys, it was over in that first quarter. UConn gave UCLA the business in the game. 23-13 at the end of that first quarter, and it was over from there. UCLA only scores 9 points in that second quarter. And from there on out, UConn easily takes off. Gets the dub. No problem. Their bench playing a lot of minutes for the bench because, hey, why not? Game over. And the thing is, you don't want to see these easy of games in the Final Four. You don't. You want to see more heart, more competition, guys. Because remember, these are the 4 best teams in the country. These are the teams that made it all the way to the end. And as a result, we get the obvious championship game, which I predicted a long time ago. South Carolina versus UConn. So no one's like freaking out about the fact that South Carolina and UConn are in the championship game. No. What I am annoyed with is the games that got them there and how it was so clear that they were leaps and bounds better than their competition. And just overall how disappointing Texas played in that fourth quarter and how they gave up. And UCLA, basically from the first quarter on, looked like they did not come to play. And that's not a good showing. Yeah, Shamika, you're right. Yeah. It says it was just a poor showing, not even close. I get it. Yeah. It's not fun. It's less fun, I should say. It's less fun. I was still entertained. However, it was less entertaining than it would have been had it been more effort put into these games. Now, again, let's go back to UConn real quick and get to some specific commentary for some players. Again, as I want to say again, Janet Alfie set the tone for this team defensively. I thought she was fan-freaking-tastic in this game from the first quarter on her defense against Lauren Betts. Yes, she did get in foul trouble early. Yes, she ultimately almost got fouled out. She got 4 fouls in this game. But when it came down to it, Janet Alfie started off this team strong with intensity. And it felt like it flustered UCLA because UCLA, their strategy should always be to give the ball to Lauren Betts, right? Give the ball to Lauren Betts. That's your best player. That is your most consistent player. That is someone who can generally manufacture points, right? And Lauren Betts did manufacture some points. She had 26 points in this game, 11 of 18. Very efficient for Lauren Betts, right? But here's the deal: the post entry passes for UCLA, they have gotten better as the year has gone on. In my opinion, they have gotten better. But to me, they are still severely lacking. There were so many times where I was like, what are you doing? That's a bad pass. Like you're and I get it. The way Janet was playing defense, you had to kind of like throw it in a certain way to kind of get it to Lauren Betts, but they weren't even doing that. I hope we'll see ultimately who enters the transfer portal. We may see some players on UCLA hit the transfer portal. But if we don't, I am hoping that Corey Close spends half of the summer. Whatever their summer workouts look like as a team, I hope that she spends half of that working specifically with the guards on post-entry passes. I hope. Because there was so many times I'm like, that was a bad pass. That was a dumb pass. What are you doing? You need to lead your center with your pass into a position that they can be most successful. And it felt like sometimes they were like, you know what? We're not gonna worry about Lauren Betts. Let me just try to cook myself. And cook no one else did. Tamia Gardner, who was knocking down 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 against UCLA or against LSU. Right? Was it? I believe that was against LSU, where she was absolutely 3 after 3 after 3 against LSU. She could miss against LSU, and she couldn't hit anything yesterday. Kiki Rice couldn't hit anything yesterday, and constantly, bad pass. What are you doing? Come on now. And UCLA it was sad. It was sad to watch. Like, man. Def says, I spent the whole game yelling, that's a bad ball. It's a bad pass. Where's the pick and roll? So disappointed with UCLA. Yeah. Because no one did cook. Like, if you are bad or like, doing a bad job passing the ball inside, and then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna try to cook myself. I'm gonna try to make some stuff happen, and you don't. It's like, come on now, come on. Well, they looked at yesterday. They looked overrated yesterday. That's for sure. Disfan9212, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, I was entertained by the Mississippi State's big win against UConn years ago. Yeah, facts. Several years ago. This does not compare to it, yeah. And who was that? Who was the head coach of Mississippi State at the time? Vic Schaefer. Fun fact for y'all. Yeah, this was not entertaining. Well, this was entertaining. This was less entertaining than it should have been. Way less entertaining than it should have been. Yeah, KT, London Jones was too small. Yeah. Like, man. Madison said Kiki had 2 air balls. Yeah. Again, not only were the passes overall bad, well, not overall, there were several passes that were bad thrown inside to Lauren Betts. Not only was that happening, you also was just attempting terrible shots. You were also getting cooked on defense. And there was absolutely nothing that Corey Close could do. There was absolutely nothing. Lauren Betts has a really good game today, or yesterday. She had a really good game. But it didn't matter because she didn't see the ball enough. And her teammates didn't help her out. At all. So, it's a learning lesson. This is the first time that anyone from UCLA had been in the final. Well, this is the first time that that this current UCLA team has been in the Final Four. First time as a program they've been there. First time that Corey Close has been there. So, like, yes, learning lesson. Yes, sure, they have a lot to work on. Sure. Do they have a lot of talent? Yes, they do. And the thing is, this entire team can be together next year. We'll see about the transfer portal. But I'm just saying, like, they don't have any seniors who are parting ways. And so there's a lot of opportunity for this team to be together and get better. And then you're also, remember, adding in some top-notch players from like freshmen as well. So, like, that's something to note. KT, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, I guaranteed if LSU had Betts, they would be in the championship game. Yeah, I think so. 100%. 100%. 100%. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I do not disagree with that at all. All right. Well, anyway. That's my recap of UConn versus UCLA. It is overall very disappointing. I was thinking about doing a quick live after the game was over, but I was like, nah, I don't feel like it. Because it was just such a disappointing game. Just, what do y'all think? Let me know in the chat. Let me know. Okay. Let's quickly talk about South Carolina versus Texas. I ended up talking about it. Yesterday. I put out a video that goes in depth about it. But I got to say this. A player who impressed the mess out of me, which I forgot to include in my video, and I need to correct now, is Jordan Lee from Texas. Jordan Lee from Texas played amazing yesterday. She shot 50% from the field, made 3 threes, finished with 16 points. I thought Jordan Lee was someone who tried her best to keep Texas in the game. Now, she didn't play as many minutes as she should have. Because she started off knocking down shots, and for some reason, stay with the hot hand. That's something that I was just like, ugh. But Jordan Lee, you should be very, very proud of yourself. I thought Jordan Lee played well. I thought she played well. And, I forgot to mention that yesterday, and I wanted to, rectify the situation and be like, yes, South Carolina, the better team. Yes. Did they show up and show out? Yes, they did. Yes. However, especially when Madison Booker went to the bench, Jordan Lee tried her best to carry this team. And as a freshman, again, these freshmen were doing something different, right? These freshmen, I'm just saying, I'm loving, whether that's Joyce Edwards, whether that's Jordan Lee, Whether that's Sarah Strong, these freshmen are built different. And I've very much been enjoying watching them play. Jordan, again, fan-freaking-tastic game yesterday. Yes, Texas loses. Yes, I feel like they choked kind of at the end. But Jordan, nice job. Very, very nice job. All right. And I already talked about yesterday about how fan-freaking-tastic, Joyce Edwards was and all that stuff. So watch the video I made yesterday. About that game, because I talked about everything I wanted to talk about, but then when I ended it and I went back and listened to it again, I was like, oh my goodness, I did not talk about Lee at all. So I wanted to rectify that real quick. Okay. All right. So let's get to the headline story of the day. All right. The headline story of the day involves USC. And there's going to be a lot of changes for USC come next year. All right. And I want to talk about how one injury can affect a team's I want to talk about how one injury by Juju Watkins, and how that has had reverberations across USC. All right. Juju Watkins tore her ACL. She's going to have surgery on it. She's going to rehab. She's going to do all that good stuff. It may be that she is not available next year. I would be surprised, actually, if Juju Watkins even plays next season. She may just wait another year. Okay? But I want to talk about the players that have to go anyway because they're done with eligibility, or players who have opted for the transfer portal, because this team is going to look very, very, very different. Very, very, very different. Okay? And I want to first start with the players who can't come back anyway. You got Kiki Ira-Afen, who's going to the WNBA. Rhea Marshall going to the WNBA. Talia von Oelhoffen, who I am almost certain is out of eligibility because she graduates. She's been in college 4 years. The time, anyway. So she's gone. Talia von Oelhoffen's gone next year. Khalees Akinwafo is gone next year. She graduates, so she's out the door at USC. Juju is likely out for the season next year. And then you have the transfers. You got Aaliyah Gales, who never played, so whatever, she never really played for USC. Not a huge loss. This is someone who averaged around 0.9 points a game, right? She's going in the portal. You got Dominique Darius, who didn't even play for USC this year due to injury, but she's in the portal. You got Kaylee Heckel, who was a huge, huge freshman. Remember, guys, USC came into this year with a dominant freshman class led by Kaylee Heckel, Avery Howe, and Kennedy Smith. This was a huge freshman class. I believe the number one freshman class, and they were looking to make a lot of noise. Kaylee Heckel had a great year, in my opinion. Ultimately finished with 6.1 points a game for her. Fantastic year. And after the season was over, she's like, you know what? I really do appreciate my time at USC, but it is time for me to go. And she has entered her name in the transfer portal. For those who don't know, these players can opt to get in the transfer portal and do whatever they want, right? They have a lot of ability to do whatever they want. And I want to specifically go and look at what Kaylee Heckel ended up saying about her decision to enter the transfer portal. I want to pull that up real quick. We'll take a look at that, and we'll talk about the other players who have entered the transfer portal. All right, so here is what Kaylee Heckel ended up saying. She said, it went away. All right. She said, after a lot of thought and reflection, I've made the difficult decision to enter the transfer portal and leave the University of Southern California. Saying goodbye to this chapter isn't easy, and I will always be grateful for the experiences and relationships I've built here. While it's tough to leave, I'm excited for the future and the new opportunities ahead. I'm ready to grow, challenge myself, and embrace whatever comes next with confidence and determination. Thank you to the fans and all of the people who supported me this season. I'm extremely grateful to my teammates and coaches. Thank you so much for all the memories and incredible experiences I've been able to have this season with you all by my side. This decision was not easy, but I believe it is what is best for me in my journey. Thank you, USC, Kaylee Heckel. So that is a message that she sent to USC, and I want to talk about some of the other players that they're losing, and then I want to sum it up with some commentary. Okay, I want to sum it up. So first, again, Kaylee Heckel, a fantastic freshman, absolutely fan-freaking-tastic freshman, is now out the door. She's a 5'9" guard, and someone who has been rocking out this year. Now, Kaylee Heckel was not the only big-time name that has entered the transfer portal. Avery Howe also is in the transfer portal. Now, Avery Howe also penned a message to the USC faithful, just talking about her decision to leave USC, and just expressing a lot of gratitude, because while these players are leaving, they're not denying that they had, a great experience with USC, right? They're very grateful for the time that they've had at USC, and it is time that they've decided that they want to move on. All right, so Avery Howe, what did she have to say? Well, she said, I want to start by expressing my deepest gratitude to the University of Southern California, my coaches, teammates, and the entire Trojan family for their unwavering support and the incredible experiences I've had during my time here. USC has shaped me not only as an athlete, but also as a person, and I will forever cherish the relationships, the memories I've made. After much reflection, I have decided to enter the transfer portal in search of the best fit for my future. This was not an easy decision, but I believe it is the right step in my journey. Thank you, USC, for everything. You will always hold a special place in my heart. Avery Howe. First of all, I do love the fact that they both use cursive in signing their name. I feel like young people nowadays are not cursive type people, so I thought that was a nice touch. But anyway, you get the gist. Kaylee Heckel, who averages 6.1 points a game, and Avery Howe, who averaged 7.5 points a game, are now in the transfer portal. Two of the big freshmen that you got in this past season, right? They were huge. The only one left of that big three freshman class is Kennedy Smith. We haven't heard anything just yet about her entering the transfer portal. She does have a couple of weeks still to decide. But yeah, that's a thing. So to reiterate, here is who USC is losing next year. Kiki Iriafen, Ray Marshall, Talivon Olhoffen, Clarice Akinwafo to graduation and the WNBA. Juju Watkins, who will likely be out all next season due to her ACL injury. Aaliyah Gales, Dominique Darius, Kaylee Heckel, and Avery Howe to the transfer portal. Now, can these players return to USC? Yeah, sure. But especially when you're penning letters like that, I don't think you're returning. I think you're going somewhere else. Now, there are several reasons, in my opinion, as to why these players have left. One, I think everybody has to acknowledge that coaching could be a huge reason. When it came to the offense and decisions that this USC team made, it was clear that everything, and I mean everything, ran through Juju Watkins. And I get it. She's your best player. Absolutely. Absolutely. She is your best player. Sure. Run stuff through her. But to me, it felt like at times everybody else in a lot of ways lacked the firepower, lacked the strategic know-how to kind of get their own stuff and do their own stuff, because it felt like they were told, just get a ball to Juju, just get a ball, just give the ball, and like there were no real plays, not really, for players like a Rhea Marshall, who in the tournament after Juju goes down, we see the emergence of Rhea Marshall, and I'm like, what the heck? Rhea Marshall could have been dominating during the regular season, but she wasn't. Why? Because that wasn't the game plan. That wasn't the game plan. Against UConn in the Elite Eight, Rhea Marshall had 23 points, shot 7 of 12, had 15 rebounds. She was dominant, but didn't matter. How good she really was, because that was not how USC ran their offense. You know? Quinta says other players were ignored. Yeah. And that's not Juju's fault. That's coaching. Okay? None of this that I am saying is Juju's fault, because I don't believe this. I believe Juju Watkins is the most talented player in women's college basketball. I do. I 100% believe that. 100% believe that. I think she has one of the highest ceilings that we have seen in a very, very long time. She is excellent. And, however, the coaching overall for USC leaves a lot to be desired. A lot. And the decisions that they make, the plays that they run, defensively, USC was good. Like, defensively, they were a pretty good team. But offensively, there were no real schemes to get to get talented players open, get talented player shots. And so, in my opinion, coaching was lax, non-existent at times, and hyper-focused on Juju, and that's it. And so that's a huge thing. That is a huge, huge, huge thing to think about. So, like, yes, Avery Howe and Kaylee Heckle, part of the reason why they're leaving could very well be because of the coaching. Okay. Quinta says, I disagree. Juju didn't know how to run the floor. I'm sorry. Juju's not a point guard. So she shouldn't have been. Like, you don't need her to run the floor. You need Juju to be Juju. Right? But if you are running everything, if you're running everything through Juju and asking her to be the player with the ball at all times, the player to be to look for her own shot, the player to at times sure facilitate, that's not Juju. Juju's a shooting guard. And that's okay. That's great. Juju Watkins is excellent at what she is good at. Right? And unfortunately for USC, they didn't, they asked her to just save us. They were like, basically like, save us every single game. Save us. Keefus says, I think it's coaching. I think the other freshmen would have shined with Juju. They would have an entire year to start without Juju. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Tulip says they think Juju should get 10 assists. Like, that's not Juju. Juju's not a point guard, and that's okay. She is a shooting guard, but she is asked to be a point guard way too many times, which is, again, coaching. All right? So that's the thing. Now, so many players are out for USC, and USC has to figure out a new identity. And the reason why we are going to see a massive downturn for USC next year is, yes, because of all the players that they're losing just to graduation, right? Again, Kiki Finn, Araya Marshall, Talia Von Olhoffen, and Clarice Akinwafo. And then you're losing players to the transfer portal, which two of them, I would say, not crazy important. Two of them are super important in your true freshmen. The reason why I have titled the video the way I have, meaning, how Juju's injury led to USC's portal collapse, is because of the injury to Juju Watkins. In my opinion, it prevents top level talent from choosing USC in the portal. Now, could Kylie Heckle and Avery Howell have already made up in their minds that they were entering the transfer portal before Juju got hurt? Sure, maybe. But you would have seen, likely, at this point, a lot of movement from USC if Juju wasn't hurt. I think you would have seen more movement because you'd have top players being like, you know what? I'm gonna go to USC. I'm gonna have the ability to play with Juju Watkins. We're about to get to a national championship game. We're about to get to the Final Four or whatever. But because Juju is now hurt, and because coaching is the way it is at USC, I don't see people choosing USC. I don't see them using USC next year. I don't see them doing that. Which is why USC is going to go on a massive downward spiral. Now, will they still make the NCAA tournament? Yes. Am I saying that they're going to lose every game? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I don't see this team as an Elite 8 team. I don't see this team as a Sweet 16 team. I see this team as a second round out next season team. If not first round out next season team. Because yes, this team is bringing in a fantastic freshman. But if Juju Watkins does not play next season, the Trojans are down 4 starters. They will be down 4 starters if Juju Watkins does not play next year. Okay? Because again, Talia Von Olhoffen is out. Avery Howell, out. Kiki Finn, out. Juju Watkins, injured. Only person left is Kennedy Smith. All right? You'll be down 4 starters. This will also be a team that is down 77% of their offense, meaning 77% of the players who actually score buckets, is going to be out for USC next year if Juju misses the season due to injury. 77% of your offense is a lot to make up for. It's a lot, right? It's a whole lot. And if Juju is out next season, the only player that will return for this team that averaged more than 15 minutes a game will be Kennedy Smith. That's it. So Kennedy Smith, she's still with this team. She has really been the core of USC's defense. She's a fantastic defender. And she can look for her shot more. Absolutely. And can be more effective. At times, does she kind of stink it up in terms of her shooting? Yeah, sure. But she is someone who can hold her own on defense and then kind of work on her offense a little bit more. But I know that she can do more on the offensive end, right? And so. All of that looks bad for USC. But the one exciting thing, the one exciting hope for USC is the fact that they are bringing in the number 3 player in the class of 2025. Her name is Jazzy Davidson. She is absolutely fantastic. She's great. Really, really, really great. Okay? She'll be there next season. She is a 6'1" forward. She is someone who can knock down shots. She's someone who can play some defense. And ultimately, she is someone who will be a huge spark for this team. Huge spark, right? And she played in the McDonald's All-American game. And, she had 12 points in that game, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks on Tuesday's All-American game. And she was great. Great. So, yes, you do have a big-time freshman coming in next year. But it's just her. From what I understand, unless something changes, Jazzy is the only top 100 recruit that USC has signed for next year. That's it. That's it. Jazzy is the only top 100 recruit for USC. So, you lose a lot due to graduation. You lose a lot due to transfer portal. You're bringing in a great freshman, yes. But what else is coming in? What else? Absolutely. We will see this team get players in for next year. But the quality of players is the huge question. I don't think USC gets some of the top transfers out of the portal. I don't see it. Because why would they go to USC? USC has nothing for next year. 77% of their offense is going to be gone if Juju is out all next year. And honestly, Juju should just sit a year. She should. She should sit a year. She should absolutely sit a year. Absolutely. She should not play next year. Why? Your team is not going to be good. Why rush getting back? No, sit out there the entire next year. Sit out. Because your team is not going to be good. They're not at all. Because again, Kiki Ira-Finn is gone. Rhea Marshall's gone. Talia Von Oelhoffen's gone. Clarice Akinwafo is gone. Aaliyah Gales, portal. Dominic Darius, portal. Kaylee Heckel, portal. Avery Howe, portal. I'm just saying. I am just saying, guys. Anyway, that's the thing. That is the thing. We will ultimately see what happens. Shamika says USC has to put in that work in the transfer portal. Yeah. But I mean, it's only so much they can do. Would you consider USC a exciting place to go in the transfer portal? If Juju was healthy, yeah, sure, absolutely, absolutely. If Juju was healthy, but with her being out, mm-mm. No, 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 no. No, no, no. All right, guys. All right, guys. All right. That's basically what I want to talk about. I will be covering other teams as we go on. W. Bazile says, I look forward to reading their books in about 20 years. LOL. Yeah, yeah. That'd be funny. But yeah, anyway, as we go through this, like today, I wanted to specifically talk about USC. But as we go through, I'm going to talk about other teams, right? I'm going to talk about Arizona. I'm going to talk about Notre Dame, right? I'm going to talk about a lot of other teams about what's happening in terms of their rosters, what they will look like next year, and just talk about the transfer portal. Now, we don't know what's going to happen, right? We don't know if Juju is going to play the entire season. We don't know if she's going to play at all next season because, again, ACL tear, a lot of players end up just taking an extra year and fully rehabbing and then coming back the following year. So I don't think we will see Juju next year. However, we'll see. We'll see if Juju plays next year. That's why I have a question mark on her face. But we do know that this team is not going to look at all like it was this year. And at some point, USC really has to think about making some changes. Because, yeah, they're not going to be very competitive. But yeah, we'll see. Journey said Juju might decide to transfer. Juju is not going anywhere. No. Juju is not transferring. Like, to me, I think that is the one permanent thing that we will see in college basketball. If Juju Watkins transfer, I think it's all over. I don't think Juju is going to transfer. Because Juju is so... She is USC. Juju is USC. I don't believe that we will see Juju ever leave USC. I think she's going to ride with this team. She's going to stay with this team all her playing career. She's going to wind up 5 years with this team because next year she's not going to play, most likely. She's not going to play. And so no. She's so embedded into the culture around USC. She's from the area. I don't see her going anywhere. I really don't. No. I don't see her going anywhere. Yeah, she's not going nowhere. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Officer Davis is asking, what do you think about Olivia Mouse at UConn? I mean, I could see that working out. I could see Olivia making a decision to do that. Because again, it depends on what Olivia wants. It depends on what she wants, right? Does she want to win a championship? Does she want to maximize NIL? Does she want to do both? There's a lot of question marks of what exactly Olivia Miles wants to do. Or did she just want to get out of Dodge at Notre Dame? We don't know. But yeah, I think she'd be a huge asset to a whole bunch of teams. Robbie says Juju will attract good players from next year's transfer portal. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. Because if Juju was still healthy, and let's say USC still lost in the Elite Eight to UConn, I do believe that we would have seen some transfers going to USC because of Juju Watkins. Yeah, we would have seen players leave out, and we would have seen a lot of really good players coming in because of Juju. Because Juju's hurt, I don't see any really good transfers coming to USC. But next year, at the end of next season, when they be like, oh, Juju Watkins, when they say Juju Watkins is healthy, Oh, you best believe there's going to be a lot of transfers flocking to USC because Juju Watkins is already that good. Whiff says Olivia Miles already said TCU. Where did she say that at? Where did she say that at? I could absolutely see TCU happening. 100% can see TCU happening. But I don't believe she actually has spoken about this. I don't believe she's spoken about this. I think this is just speculation. I don't believe she actually said anything about it. Shanna says, which coach would help Olivia get stronger on defense? Dawn. Dawn, Gino, and Mark Campbell, actually. Yeah. Dawn, Gino, Mark Campbell. And Coach Yo. 100% Coach Yo. That's for sure. That is for sure. All right. Well, guys, I think that's it. Ella says, anyone saying they should wait? Juju won't be playing next year and they won't be at full strength until probably the year afterwards. Yeah. Which is why, they're in the situation that they are in. Okay, anyway, guys, that's the stream. I don't really have anything else to say. Any pressing random questions? Any pressing random questions that you all have? Henry is asking, do you think Heckle and Kaylee Heckle and Avery Howe will go to the same college? Maybe. They seem to be pretty close. That'd actually be kind of fun. That would actually be kind of fun if they went to the same college. But yeah, anything else y'all have to say? Anything else? Any questions or anything? If not, we will end it. Duke. Great comment. Duke says, like the video, y'all. Yeah, hit that like button. It really does help the channel out a whole lot. All right. Shamika is asking predictions for tomorrow. Who wins? Score. Well, I decided this before the tournament even started, and I have not changed my mind. I knew that we were going to see South Carolina versus UConn in the national championship game. And I believe that when it's all over, when the 40 minutes are done, I don't think it's going to go to overtime, but when the 40 minutes are done, we will see UConn holding the trophy. The reason why is because UConn is just, in my opinion, a bit better. They are a team that their starters are fire when you compare that to South Carolina's team. And this is a team that has been grinding away. There's been several setbacks for UConn, injuries from multiple players, all that stuff, right? And when we see what this UConn team has gone through, and it really does feel like they just want it more. They want it more. They are hungrier for it. They're hungrier for it. I think just watching UConn play this year, especially watching them in the tournament, I don't think that South Carolina can beat UConn. I don't. Even if Paige Beckers has an off night. And when it comes to who will win this game, I got UConn. And I think it's going to be determined by, maybe like 5 to 10 points. That's going to be the determination of this game. But I got UConn. I got UConn winning this game. I think we're going to see Sarah Strong go crazy. We're going to see AZ Foot play some lockdown defense and knock down some threes. I think we are going to see a fan-freaking-tastic game by UConn, and I think they're going to win. That's who I got winning. Now, could I be wrong? Yeah, sure, I could be wrong. Do I think I am wrong? I don't think I am. I think UConn will win the game. I do. I do. Def says, where is UConn's weakness? I haven't seen one. That's the trouble this year with the pieces they added / got back. Yeah, like this team is, you need scoring in the paint, they got that. You need 3-point shooting, they got that. You need mid-range buckets, they got that. So it's, and then defensively, UConn can absolutely hold their own. Absolutely. And so like I don't see South Carolina winning. I don't. Now, do I think the players on South Carolina are good? I absolutely do. Yeah. I do. I think South Carolina is a really, really great team. I just don't think they're great enough right now to beat UConn. I don't. Again, could I be wrong? Yeah, sure, I could be. Kyle Fanny says, any thoughts on who the Sky get at number 10? Amor question mark, fingers crossed. If she's still there, Sarah Ashley Barker. If she's still there at 10, 100%, I'm going Sarah Ashley Barker, 100%. I have a separate video about that because I really do think she's going to be a huge steal of the draft. Quintus says UConn is more polished. Facts. I agree. Anthony says the committee screwed USC. I can see why their coach went off in this on Selection Sunday. Yeah, because USC did not want to face UConn. They did not at all. Nobody wanted to face UConn before the national championship game, which is why South Carolina's in a great situation because they didn't have to face them earlier. I can tell you this: Don Staley would be even madder if they had to face UConn earlier before the national championship game. Let's see. Mike says Don Staley is a genius, but yeah, UConn. Yeah, I mean, Don's great. My Lazy Fool, Wiley's great. Joyce Edwards, great. Bree Hall, great on defense, right? These are like there's a lot of great things about South Carolina. But even still, I don't think they can beat UConn. I don't. Now, will it be a blowout like the time they played UConn earlier this year? No. It's not going to be a blowout. I don't believe so. But UConn will win. For the second time this year, they will win. We'll see, though. We will see. TV says, what do you think will happen in Kennedy Carter? Nothing. I don't think she will be on a WNBA team this year. I don't think she'll be on a WNBA team, and she will go back to China every single year. She's going to be back in China, and she's going to make a whole bunch of money, way more money than she made next year in China. So I don't see her playing in the WNBA. We'll see. We will see. And also in this game, also in the Final Four, while I did think they were better teams, I didn't this was not I'm gonna root for the underdog in the Final Four, and it's not that way in the championship game either, because when you get to this level, there shouldn't really be an underdog. So for the Elite Eight and whatnot, I thought it would be cool if the underdog won because I really saw that there were underdogs. Final Four, there was no real underdog. Yeah, even though I knew South Carolina and UConn were going to win, there were no real underdogs. And in the championship game, I don't believe there are underdogs in the championship game. So, I don't know. It's going to be play versus play. Who wants it more? And to be honest with you, I just want to be thoroughly entertained. I just want to see a back and forth game. I want to see a close game. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I do have UConn winning. We'll see. I could be right. I could be wrong. Who knows? Who knows, guys? Who knows? All right, guys, that is the stream. Thank you all so much for rocking with me. I will talk to y'all later. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.